Hi, and welcome to Detours Understanding Acquired Brain Injury. And this is my co host. You've seen her before. It's Lisa. And so, what we want to talk about is about families and communication and communicating with uh, the survivor. Many of us, as survivors, we have families, but we have families, kids. We have parents and all kinds of other relatives. And it's more than just people who help take care of us. We take care of others. And so we're going to address like some of the important issues here. And Lisa is more than a survivor. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's got, kids. And so it's important to stress elements of communication. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Hi. So, let's just do a conversational kind of thing about this. So, can you just start just talking about some of your thoughts on this topic? Because we're going to be launching into talking about caregivers, families, that kind of thing.
Well, I do find it very important for the caregivers to talk to the doctors and basically find out how they can help their loved one who had the brain injury, be able to, basically communicate that with them, help them understand, what they're going through, accept what they're going through, and it'll make it a lot easier on everyone in the family.
So, do you find that that was a problem that you had that no one had really spoken? And truth be told, the doctors also have a responsibility to communicate, and the nurses to communicate with family, because usually family are shocked and kind of surprised. But do you find that was a problem that you struggled with, with your family?
A little bit in the beginning, as far as like with my kids, being able to understand my memory problem more so than before. Um, that was the biggest thing. They finally do understand it, as well as my husband too.
Mm,
Um, but like my husband still needs to, even though he understands the problems, but I still feel he needs to accept it,
mm,
and that's where we're still having a little bit of issues, and also as far as ah boy, me being able to understand like his abstract humor,
mm.
that's the biggest thing. So
Right.
I mean, as far as I do feel it's very important for caregivers to be able to talk to the doctors to find out, what kind of damage they did have, whether it be
Mm,
frontal lobe or, what kind of problems they do have with executive functioning
mm,
or occipital damage, whatever.
mm,
That's very important. And for the doctors to communicate with the caregiver,
mm,
that is the most important. And to be able to break it down for the caregiver so they understand,
mm.
what, how they can help them.
Right. And the thing is, each brain injury is different as each brain injury. And the other thing is to know resources too. I mean, it isn't just the physicians. Many of them don't understand either. Like that's what this channel's about, and that's what we're doing here is trying to help you and I and Kate, my other co-host. We're trying to help families understand, and that's what this segment that we're going to be doing. I mean, this is your idea. We were talking about this, and so we're going to be trying to help families too, and hopefully people will watch this. I mean, you make a good point. There's something else. It's not just understanding, but it's acceptance too. Uh, Justin was married to you before you were injured, and so there are changes in you, and changes like, oh, well, I talked about pragmatics and language. One of my videos talks about how change from understanding some of those the nuances and the subtleties of language that sometimes uh, comments or statements that you make or jokes They mean one thing on one level and they mean another on another level. And people with trouble with executive dysfunction often don't understand that there are like two different levels. They don't understand that other level. They understand it literally as it's said, or even just turns of phrase. When we say it's raining cats and dogs, a person with brain injury may not understand what we mean it's raining really hard because it's a figure of speech, and talk about that pragmatics. They may literally look outside, go, "What?" And they have to be told quite literally that is another way of saying. And so pragmatics is an issue, and that is one of the changes. And also, like this more the concrete thinking or thinking literally versus thinking in the more abstract sense. And many of us suffer from that. It depends, but each brain injury is different. But yes, it's absolutely true. All right. So, what are some of some of the things that you think to help make things better for other people with brain injury that in relation to the survivor that family should do in relation to you, not just speaking to doctors, but as far as communicating with the survivor?
Oh boy. I guess with memory problems, help them help, their loved one who has it, either write things on, like, say, on a calendar or,
Mhm.
with sticky notes, or help them put it in a calendar, in their
Right.
calendar on their phone, whatever makes it easier. Um, Trying to think what else. Oh, play games with them.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I can't think of what games right now, but play games with
Right.
them that'll help, you know, whether it be with memory or executive functioning, like simple ones like with organizing, those kind of
Mhm.
games.
Like memory would be a good one, or
Yes,
like go fish or
that's the
something.
biggest one,
Mhm.
is the
Or
memory.
guess who?
It depends on, I think the memory games are the best.
Yeah. No, no, that's actually I had to be honest, I hadn't really thought about that, but you're absolutely right. And it improves social skills too. Don't play Monopoly, that'll get you in a fight.
Yeah, it may not be a good idea.
No, but that's actually a good idea. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And give the gift of time. Give for time for processing, thinking. If you say something like, and break it down. Don't like say literally what you mean. That's not upsetting or offensive to us. I mean, back when I was hurt, the second time, it's like take your time. It's okay. It's okay to explain it. I won't be upset. You wouldn't be upset if somebody like
Nope,
simplified it or broke it down.
definitely not.
Talk
This
to
way we're
us.
all on the same page and there's no
Yes,
miscommunication.
yes. Talk to us. Ask us if you have a question. Don't be afraid.
Yes. And if we do forget something, whether it be like making an appointment, you know,
Mm,
and like maybe you had forgotten to
mm,
talk to the loved one, like
yes.
ask them why they didn't do it, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
instead of, getting all upset as to why you didn't, you
Mm,
know, for them to just like calm down a little bit, you
mm.
know, and for them to understand why you didn't.
Oh,
This
yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah.
neither person is, upset, you know.
Right. It's not intentional. I mean, I know I goof up like that too. It's like it's not intentional. It's not intended even if you remind me a million times, even if you say it in the morning, there's a good chance I'll have forgotten by the afternoon. Really, seriously, it's like
Absolutely.
memory is huge. Those of you out there who know, it's like those of you who are new to this, memory is a big thing for a lot of us. We will literally forget. We can forget in the middle of a sentence that what we're saying. It's not intentional, I swear. It just sometimes happens like that. Um, Working memory, short-term memory, we're talking about the ability to connect and manipulate. It's really a big problem for us. And so what we do need is like frequent reminders. And it's okay if you remind us 1,000 times. Yeah, we may say, ha, I know that. Odds are we don't. We may say it, it's fallen out. Inside, it's like, oh crap, I forgot that. But we're not gonna, out of like kind of feeling embarrassed a bit. We may not admit it, but yeah, chances are we forgot it, and an extra reminder is not a bad idea. Put it on the family calendar. Yes. Okay. Yes.
And also, like, as far as the memory, if you have a lot going on up here,
Mhm.
you will forget.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a given.
Tell me about it. Yeah, that is
Mhm.
always a given. And attention. It's like this is another element because of executive skills, which are like our ability to organize, structure, and how our thought processes work. And this isn't about intelligence. This is about the ability to organize, structure, and put together. We have trouble with that sometimes. And so it's a
Yes.
matter of like working through that. And so um, Kate had mentioned about sometimes medication helps, like Concerta or Adderall, ADD, ADHD medication, especially short acting. And this is important, not the long acting stuff, but short
Yes.
acting helps us with focus and concentration. It isn't a cure all, but it does
No,
help. And doing things
definitely.
in small chunks helps too, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
So how do you
And it
deal
all
with
depends on what it is.
mm, how do you deal with kids? This is one I don't have kids, so I'm curious.
Well, it all depends. I mean, my kids are a little bit, well, not older, but older,
Hmm.
and it really depends, what they want, what they need, you know. Um, and it depends on if they have any, whether it be mental illness, ADHD,
Mm,
whatever the case may be, that has a lot to do with it too, believe me. Um, but a lot of it, is like, kind of where if they have to go somewhere, just, memory reminders, put it in my calendar, usually as a reminder for like appointments and stuff. And like what my daughter does also, she'll put it in her calendar, and I
mm,
put it in my calendar as well.
right.
This way, if I forget, she'll remind me because it's in
Yeah.
her calendar, you know. But thankfully, both my kids understand now. If I forget something, they're okay. They understand, thankfully.
So it seems like basically the main thing to do is make it clear, like it's not intentional. It's not being done to hurt. To communicate the love and the connection. That's really most important of all, and on all sides, and to always make sure you like that kind of communication, and that yes, these are changes, these may be problems, but in the end, it's really about those kind of things that matter and about finding ways to connect and communicate.
Yes. And I was thinking also, like, as far as like those games, like they
Hmm.
have kids games also for memory,
Hmm.
that they're kind of fun too. But
Hmm.
also you can find things online as well,
Yes.
certain brain games that
Hmm.
that are good too.
Yes.
Um, I think Word Find is good too.
Hmm.
That's always a good one. Not sure about the whole crossword puzzle. I don't know. I'm not good with that anyway, so I don't think that would go too well for me. Um, but yeah, simple things, and then you just move up when you're
Right.
ready. I think that's important.
I I
So,
would think respect is important too, to make sure that it's a two-way street. It's like to respect the survivor and to not get it's like we all I know it's like getting angry, it's like we as survivors get mad, and that's something too within families, and we have a harder time controlling that sometimes, you know because of the brain injury. We have trouble with like inhibiting certain impulses, um
yes,
and again, not intentional. I'm not saying it's okay. It isn't, like to act out aggressively, and that needs medication sometimes, that needs support, and it's never okay to act physically aggressive or to throw or to cuss out somebody, never okay, but it does
Nope.
happen. And so you need the help of physicians, and you never should tolerate that. Need
Very
to set
true.
boundaries as caregivers and family members, and never against kids or anything like that ever. To make that clear. But towards us as survivors, please, it's like it's not intentional. Any thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, sometimes, like in the beginning, they may not understand that, but they do eventually, over a period of time, understand that it's not intentional how we react to them. It all
Mm,
also has to do with how they come off to us too.
mm,
And if it's like a trigger,
mm,
sometimes we really can't help it.
mm.
It's just something that hit the wrong spot and that was it.
Right.
And then, you calm down and then you talk about it, and you end up basically understanding, okay, I shouldn't have said this or I shouldn't have said that, then everybody understands.
But it's never okay to act out physically. It is never okay
No,
to lay a hand on. No, that is not okay.
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
Um,
Or
it's just
say the wrong thing.
right, right. That needs to be made clear, and then that's where medication may be necessary, even some going to the hospital. There are those times um, where 911 and a little extra help may be necessary, and we're laying firm boundaries as to what is okay and what is not okay. These are tough issues, and I understand that. I talk about that in my video series about anger and aggression. Watch those. Um, so, and with the understanding that love and compassion and that we as the survivors care too. We love our families, and we sometimes there's communications problems. I would say that's the biggest issue, and that based on the things you and I've talked about in the past, that communication is the biggest problem.
Yes. Because there's a lot of times that you may want to talk about something, but whether it be your husband, wife, whatever, they may not want to. And it's just like, really? Like that helps me
Mm,
how? Like,
yes.
it's all about communication in a marriage. And
Mm,
it's like I bring something up and you don't want to talk about it. Um, that's not good. Whether you just don't want to talk about that, your husband doesn't want to talk about your wife because
yes.
they may say something that, you might get upset with. It is what it is.
Yes.
You just say it, you just talk about it,
And
and then go from there.
the other important thing is to remember our issues haven't gone away. The ones we had before we were hurt are still there. The problems that we have brought before we were hurt are still there. And the brain injury just makes it harder. And so maybe getting some help with, marital and family or brain injury specialists, therapists, psychiatrists, that kind of thing, seeking help for that. It's like it
Yes.
just adds complexity, and it is important to communicate this. And those of you who are new survivors, those of you who are new caregivers and new spouses, because this really is important, within the family, and also not to exclude the kids, because they often are forgotten in our efforts to,
Yeah.
so critical. And this is why I want, this series to continue on, and why I'll be turning to Lisa for help and insight for doing kids and for parents and for things. And often we also carry our own baggage with our parents
Mm.
and communication with them. And we will be talking about that, as well as friendships and our extended family, uncles, aunts, all that stuff. It all plugs in, and it shapes how we recover as survivors and how they relate to us. The number one worst thing that survivors complain about in the end is loneliness. And it doesn't matter if you have a full family around you and friends and everything else. Most survivors, one of the leading complaints psychiatrically is loneliness. And again, it doesn't matter if you have a full family or everyone's gone. It's loneliness. And many survivors do lose their circle of family and friends because they don't understand. The key is communication. Anything you'd like to add to our first of this?
I do, because that's one of the sad things. Just because you have a brain injury doesn't mean your friends or family have to leave you. There's no reason for that. That is the biggest problem. You know, whether it be, especially with a husband and wife, you made your vows, and it doesn't matter for sickness and in health. So if your loved one has a brain injury, don't leave them. Like, are you kidding me? Really? And then, like, with friends, you know who your true friends are. The
Uh-huh.
ones that stick with you through everything, those are the ones that make the difference. The ones that
Yeah,
leave you just because you have a brain injury, because they don't understand. Oh, well,
yeah,
they weren't obviously your friends in the first place.
yeah.
You
And
know,
a lot of us have suffered that. I remember I lost a number of people, in my life when I had the first one, a lot of friends and stuff who I had contact with. And it's just, but that's been a long time. That's 30 years ago. And so the ones who were nearest and dearest to me, those who I was closest with, did stay. I was fortunate. And I didn't meet my wife until long after my first one, long after. So I was fortunate. But many people, um, even those who remain married, what's interesting is then they describe a change. They almost feel like roommates. And that is because of exactly what you're talking about, is this trouble with communication. Um, and so if you're a new survivor, if you're a new caregiver, please seek out information. There are sources of information, places you can go to get information to understand. And if you feel the need, it's like marital and family does help. You should seek out a specialist in brain injury as well, but there are places to go. There are experts who know about these kind of things who can help facilitate communication. It's important, and it is important on our behalf as survivors to do as much as we can to facilitate communication and to express our understandings and to be as supportive as we can. But we definitely have to acknowledge the limits we have, the understandings. We can't turn our symptoms off. Unfortunately, we can do what we
exactly.
can, but we also need, like our caregivers, our loved ones, our family, everyone to understand. And this is the whole point. And yeah, this is so important. I want to thank you very much for this interview. We will be back for more of these sections, and this is
Yes.
such a critical thing to communicate about. Again, I want to say thank you so much, and
You're welcome.
thank you. And please like and subscribe to Detours for more of this. And one of my co-hosts, Lisa, I want to thank her again for her time and for her very important insights on family here. Um, Thank you for watching. Please, if you like this, click like and subscribe. As always, don't forget to click the bell icon. And thank you. Have a good day.